So, Edith, it's really, really a big honor to meet you. My name is Gali Bloch Liran. I live in Herzliya in Israel, near Tel Aviv. And in my roots, my grandmother and my grandfather and my husband's grandmother are from Košice. So I'm half Slovakian and half Czech. My other half is from Pilsen, Czechia. And when I read your book, I will repeat it later, just for you a short intro. I was touched by it so much to think that my grandmother and my husband's grandmother walked on in the same streets like you did. I even visited there a couple of years ago with my mom to see their house, and they were also sent to Auschwitz. And my grandmother also survived Mengele with her sister because she was very, very beautiful. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about Viktor Frankl. I read a lot about him. And I, in my background, studied psychology and law and business management. And when I read your book, it touched so many aspects of my personality and doing. And in my work today, as I said to Jordan, I coach founders, startup founders. In Israel, we have a very big and successful tech ecosystem. And I work with the founders about their mental aspects, because everyone just talks about their money, but no one speaks about the mentality and the choice and the mental resilience. And without this, we have nothing. And another point, just like to introduce myself and part of my story, when I was 30, pregnant with my first son, I have 3 boys, my father passed away. He committed suicide. He had PTSD from the wars in Israel, from Yom Kippur and Sheshet HaYamim, 6 Days War, and Milchemet HaAtasha. And no one spoke about those things back then. And that completely changed my life. And from 15 years in business and management, etc., I understood that I want to help the founders that I worked with save themselves, because no one did it, back then. And that's what caused me to do what I do today and to work with many talented people, but to work with them on their mental aspects. And maybe one last sentence, that in the last 2 years in Israel, after October 7th, that still we are in this, the trauma and the need in healing is so strong and so meaningful, that I think that our conversation and the messages that you will have will be strong and powerful and amazing. And I really touched towards this conversation.
And important.
Thank you.
And it's you are an important voice for this world, Edith.
Well, I have a lot to say.
And Mazal Tov, because you have a birthday by the end of this month, right?
The 29th.
Yeah, I read it's just one day after my son will celebrate his bar mitzvah. So congratulations. Wow. So many things you've done in those 98 years.
I think
so thank you.
People suffered a great deal that actually made us stronger. And hopefully we can be good role models to young people, that you don't have to take anything artificial to really be a whole person with a W.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I don't ask people, how can I help you? But I do ask, how can be useful to you? Because I've been around the block many times, and here I am letting you know that life is beautiful.
So Edith, with your permission, if I may open with a short opening, and then we can dive just to talk on whatever you will feel like and will come up from the conversation?
Absolutely. Ready?
You are so beautiful. You remind me of my grandmother. Okay, so I will open, and then we'll just dive in to talk, okay?
So your grandmother was your mother's side or your father's side?
On my mother's side, her name was Nushi Feher after she got married, and before it was Nushi Spira. And also my husband's grandmother also came from Košice, and her name was Marta Shen. and they were all your age.
Did you ever eat trapachka?
Trapachka?
It's
What
a,
is it?
it's a
Trapachka?
pasta with cottage cheese or pasta with sauerkraut.
Ah, they love the sour cabbage, and also the like what Popeye like I forgot the word.
Spinach.
Yeah, no, not the spinach. The blacks, I forgot. The poppies, like the poppies, the pasta with the poppies.
Pasta with the poppies?
What?
Like a black pasta?
No, like small. I forgot a word. Pereg. Small. Never mind. I'll think about it. If you're talking about food, Edith. So before we start, I'll show you this. I'm not sure you can see it. This is all my grandmother's recipes that my aunt did with all the Slovakian dishes. You know, the gombot and the rosh teosh and all the toliot kapotstein, all those things. It brings a bell.
Yes, that's all your mother made beautifully.
Definitely.
And I can cook them myself.
Jordan, and it's good.
They would be very proud of you. You're carrying it from generation to generation.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it, what we take from the different generations. So, Edith, I'm going to read a short opening, and then we can just talk, okay?
We'll do that.
And thank you so much.
She's going to read a little thing, and then we go.
Okay.
The Human Founder Podcast by Gali Bloch-Liran.
Hi, I'm Gali Bloch-Liran, and welcome to The Human Founder, the podcast where we speak about the mental aspects of the entrepreneurial journey. Entrepreneurs often describe the emotional roller coaster that is embedded in being an entrepreneur investor, where you experience the lowest of lows, when trauma, silence, and grief are carried across generations and you feel the weight of loss that isn't even yours, and the highest of highs when you discover resilience, grace, and the ability to transform pain into purpose. And it's from that place of uncertainty, the need to constantly self-manage ourselves, keep up our energy, and be mentally resilient in order to deal with everything. Well, it's not easy. In each episode, I will be talking to entrepreneurs, investors, psychologists, being their sounding board, with the goal of creating a space for this less spoken about layer, which is the mental aspect accompanying the entrepreneurial journey. I will also share tips and tricks to help boost your focus, clarity, and mental resilience. Today, I have the very big honor of speaking with Dr. Edith Eger, Holocaust survivor, psychologist, and best-selling author of The Choice, The Gift, and more recently, The Ballerina of Auschwitz. And with her grandson, Jordan Engel, who helps bring her wisdom to the younger generation. So Edith and Jordan, I'm so proud and humbled to have you here with me this morning for you in California. And thank you so much. And first of all, Edith, I want to congratulate you on my behalf and the Israeli audience behalf for your 98th birthday that will be at the end of this month, and it's amazing to see you, how you look, your smile, your beauty, your wisdom over the past 98 years, and the value and the impact that you make on people. So thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you. Very mutual. I think this is going to be a wonderful memory that we're creating today.
So maybe we'll start, I think, from the main message, and we can go chronologically or not necessarily. Maybe the main message and the name of your book, The Choice. Will you be willing to share with us the inner meaning that you give to this word choice, and what it is for you, and how do you see and do you think that choice can be a healing power and a mindset that can actually save people's life?
Edie, Gali asked a really interesting question that I would love to hear your answer to,
Sure.
which was, what does the choice mean to you?
The choice means that we can concentrate on the part that made us stronger, that we had an inner voice, and you were able to know that if I have this willingness, that's a very good English word, that we're willing to look at every day as a challenge, not a problem, and to get through it, because life is just one day. That morning sunshine may not come back the way we would dream about it. So I think that part of my life made me two things. I grew up much faster. I really did not have a childhood. I had to take care of my mother. I had to take care of my father, who was playing billiards, and he would come home and put one of those petit fours in my mouth, and I was waiting up until he comes home and get my share of that little nugget.
Gali, can I ask you, what does the choice mean to you?
Thank you for that, Jordan. So I'll answer and I'll ask something about it for Edith. Choice for me means that like Edith said, in every single moment, we have the ability and the freedom to choose how we will react to the situation, what will be our attitude, our approach. And in this choice actually lies everything, because this is the way we will behave towards the situation. But I want to challenge it, because it's easy to say, and in difficult situations, in life and death situations, during the Holocaust, for example, it's really, really difficult. I cannot even imagine to really live it. So with your permission, Edith, I want to ask you, you spoke about the little child within you. So back then, in those very, very difficult, challenging moments, what did you tell to yourself, to your inner child within you, in order to help you to make the choice to deal with the situation, to overcome the challenge, to have another day?
Edie, Gali asked a really interesting question, and I think I know what I've heard you say about this in the past. But she asked, when you were in Auschwitz and you were under the stress of knowing that at any moment you could be killed, you were seeing death, you were in a very challenging environment. What did you say to yourself so that you could survive each day?
I discovered something called God. I cannot tell you what it was or how it came to me, but I know that I prayed for Mengele so I wouldn't have to go from here to the gas chamber. And I must say, if any of his children's children are still alive, I like to tell them about the kind Dr. Mengele.
You actually say, if I understand you correctly, and this is another very interesting thing, let me know if I understand you correctly, how in the toughest moments we can also find grace and maybe to see good thing in very, very challenging moments. Was that what you meant?
Well, you know, when I worked in a factory, I got 7 cents cutting off boxer shorts. So I did as fast as I could because I became a breadwinner. My late husband ended up in a TB hospital, and I had to take 3 buses to change so I can go home, which was a maid's room in Baltimore near Cold Spring Lane. Do you remember?
Sorry to interrupt, but I want to go back to this idea because I think it's important. We want to understand at the moment you are in the darkest place on the planet, Auschwitz. And when other people, including your friend, threw herself into the barbed wire to die, you survived. And not only did you survive, you found God and I believe you found your strength.
And stepped out of Auschwitz.
So you are a brilliant example to us of the strength of the human spirit. And we want to know, what were you putting in your head? What did you tell yourself when you were lying in that bunk at night, when you knew that at 4 a.m. they were going to wake you up? What was the voice in your head? How did you keep yourself going?
I kept telling myself that this is temporary and I'm going to get out of here. I didn't know when and how. I kept my inner voice talking to me that, yes, this is temporary, and yes, you can tell people when good people do bad things. Yes.
You know, Edith,
Yes.
this is so powerful to hear you saying this is temporary, because sometimes when bad things happen, we have the tendency like to think that it will never end because we're so deeply rooted in it.
They still live there when they get together. But I think we made memories and we discovered many things about us that we never thought was possible.
Wow.
So I think every moment is precious when we get together, not to forget the past, but come to terms with it.
Mm-hmm. This is also so powerful, like when you're saying to come to terms with the past, the acceptance of the bad things that happened, and that we do not have control about what happened, but we do have a choice how to take it to the future, what to do with it, how to grow from this point. And I think about us in Israel now, as Jordan and I spoke a little bit before, after October 7th, it will be 2 years soon, and we're still in this every day anew. As a mother to 3 young children, with everything that happens here, every day we need to tell ourselves, this too shall pass, and we have to believe in this, although sometimes it's really hard, but to tell ourselves that this too shall pass. And when I hear you and I see you as a living testament to this thing, you're not just saying this, you lived and you live according to those value and mindset. It's unbelievable. It's really amazing.
We have you here and carrying from generation to generation, because I know that your book is going to be on their living room table. I think it's important to know about discovery, and we can talk about recovery, but discovery means that you discover something that you never thought was possible. Because when we were in a cattle car and we were wearing striped uniforms, thinking that the British won't bomb, but they did bomb. And so when the train stopped, I was the first one to jump out because, I was a gymnast, and I ran into the forest, but there was no sister. So in the middle of the bombing, I ran back, and there she was. She fell, and she still has a scar.
Let's talk about Magda for a second, because you just raised her name, and also Clara, that didn't come to Auschwitz. She played, and you met after the war. But the power of sisterhood, the power of siblings, in your case it was sisters, it's amazing to read the stories and how you actually supported each other, and each one of you saw the other as a reason to keep living, to survive, in order to be an anchor for the other one. And it goes wider and bigger because the community, the family, the surrounding is a very, very strong power in healing. Sometimes when we suffer from something, so the surrounding has a very, very strong ability to influence and to support. Later on, after you came back from the war, you were separated, right? She left to Australia, right? This is also part that my family is similar, because some of the sisters of the grandmother also left to Australia, to Sydney. It's amazing how we're totally different people, but the history and the roots, it's more or less the same. We all think we're very, very unique, but at the end, we have similar behaviors, similar mechanisms, similar stories. And from that point, it actually maybe helps in seeing that it helps us to survive. It helps us to understand what we have, bigger powers, etc. So tell me a little bit about the very, very special relationship that you have with your sisters, and also I see it later on goes with your grandson, for example, the way you are working together. So something in between the relationship with your sisters to the intergenerational transmission and working together. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Very well said.
Edie, you and Magda
Yeah.
helped each other to survive. Can you
Yeah.
tell us about how that sister relationship helped you to survive?
I think when people come even to my office today with someone, they do better than when they just come alone. I think we definitely do better when we have a certain belonging and responsibility for another person. So Magda was alive and well, and she had jokes like I could never tell you, and there were to you in Hungarian or in English. Gorgeous is with an L. Gorgeous. I didn't correct her, but I was gorgeous with an L when I wore my Escada clothes. I think it's very good of you to not to try to forget that you're carrying the blood of survivors and not victims or victimizers for any circumstance. Thank you.
I think it doesn't have to be family, but it's good it can be. Family knows you very well, but it's important to have somebody that sees you and to be seen in a world where so often people pass you by and they say, "Hi, how are you?" As she says, don't ask how are you. It's a stupid question. People just talk, but they don't really connect. In family, what we do is we don't have small talk. We get to the heart of it. Like what is this? What's wrong with your hair? Right? Like the family, like she says to me, like I had long hair, I have short hair. She would look at me and she'd be like, "Jordan, I don't like your hair. It's too
You
long."
don't share silence together, and because that's what I like to do, that you don't have to go into the question, answer. I can be really Jewish and answer a question with a question.
So when you're with somebody that knows you deeply, cares for you profoundly, you are a more healed version of yourself just by that alone.
I don't have to go back to Auschwitz. You know, some people do that, but I think one time is just fine because Auschwitz was a classroom and I lived through truly the unexpected and the unanticipated.
Edith, tell me a little bit about your connection with Viktor Frankl.
Can you tell us about your relationship with Viktor Frankl?
Viktor Frankl was a very, very German person. And when I was there, he spoke German to his friends and whoever was there. I think he was friendly, and yet he kept himself away. He's not like in churches, people are at the door and they shake hands and do those kind of things. He didn't do that, but he was very polite, and he wanted to know, typical German, the mistakes that he made. He wanted me to give him a critic, and my daughter said, "Remember, Dr. Franco said that he didn't want Kierkegaard." I didn't care about Kierkegaard at all, but I kicked her. Don't mention Kierkegaard because it's
This is at a
not
talk
really my business.
that Marianne, my mother, who is also a psychologist, and Edie attended, and afterwards Victor came to them and said, "So, how was it? What did you think? Is there anything that I did that I should have done differently?" And Edie said, "No, it was amazing." And then Marianne looked at Edie and says, but he never mentioned Kierkegaard. And Edie, of course, was horrified. Like, no, he didn't really want to know what he did wrong. But Edie, can you tell us about your moment where you wrote that letter to Viktor Frankl, never expecting to hear back from him? How did that feel when he wrote you back?
You know, even a minute before when I read your book, so you speak about Viktor Frankl only like in the middle, something like that. And I started to read your book, and I read Man's Search for Meaning many, many years ago. And I read it again after October 7th. And it's like a Bible. And when I started to read your book, I said, wow, it's like, it reminds me so much the ideas and the choice and the inner belief, inner strong belief in the human spirit. And it really reminded me. And then when I saw and read about the story that you are now going to share about the essay that you wrote and that he was your mentor, like everything, connected, and it just made so much sense. And I just think that if you look today on your life retrospectively, on the almost 98 years that you are here in this round on this planet, so many complicated things, but so many amazing things to be grateful for and to thank for, and so much opportunity to create impact and to change people's lives. And I will say one more thing. We have in Israel every year the Hebrew Book Week Fair. Okay, it's like a big festival of all the new books. And because I've just published my book, The Human Founder, I came to there, and there was a deal, to buy one and to get the other one also. So for everyone that bought my book and they asked for a recommendation, so I said, you have to take the choice. You have to read Edith's book. And so you sold a lot, just for you to know. So it's amazing. So I was so proud really to give a recommendation because it touched me so much. So take us back to the moment that you are writing this essay, and by coincidence, you don't even mean to it, it gets into Viktor Frankl's hands and he contacts you.
I think it's very helpful and powerful to write your own book, because just let it come. You don't have to make up anything. It's all there. It's coming to you.
She did. She has her book. Her book just came out called The Human Founder. So she's written her first book, not her second or third like you, but she's at least written her first book. You got to start
I still have
somewhere.
a few more years, Jordan.
Just let it come to you. Just let it come to you.
So
that would be my next title of my book, when I stepped out of Auschwitz.
Edie,
Because I don't live there. I don't set up household there. But I learned a great deal about how to be a good parent to me. So that those two questions. When did your childhood end? And would you like to be married to you? Those two questions will go far.
chapters 1 and 2 of her next book.
These are powerful questions. So Edith, you're talking about writing books, writing essays, and also writing is a tool for healing, to express our emotions. And it came to you after becoming a psychologist and finishing your degrees, etc., that you're writing this article, this research, this essay, and Viktor Frankl gets it and he addresses you. What do you feel there? What do you understand there? Can you connect the dots by that moment of your life journey?
When I entered the University of Texas, they sent me to a class called English as a Second Language. And the teacher talked about an essay, that we're going to write an essay. And I didn't know whether you drink it or eat it or what it is. But he said, it's like the old preacher. Tell them what you're going to say, and then say it, and then tell them what you said. And I did exactly just that. And I made it, and actually I graduated with honors. Not summa cum laude, but cum laude. It was a high 3 point something. I think it's very important, as long as I'm alive, to let people know when good people do such bad things.
Edie, your mission in life, which was to make sure something like the Holocaust never happens again, and to write your story, really began when you got your PhD. And when you were studying, you had a beautiful connection with Viktor Frankl. And that connection was a result of a letter that you wrote, and you sent it to him.
I danced with him, and
But
I think he was married to a nun who was a nun before. I'm not sure, so I'm not going
Edith,
there.
he was a mentor for you in your professional path?
Did you look up to Viktor Frankl as a mentor? Was he somebody that you held in high regard as you were doing your work and your?
I don't know about that. I really know that I don't know.
That's a very strong sentence, also in the age of 98. Edith, I want to ask you a little bit about you gave therapy. You're a psychologist of many soldiers of the various wars in the US, Vietnam, etc. As a psychologist who took care of people who are suffering from PTSD and were in war zones, and I also see many of my generation and the younger generation and also the older generation now coping with trauma, with post-trauma in Israel after October 7. I'm not even sure we can still call it PTSD because it still hasn't ended. It's still going on, okay? But maybe from your experience, tell us a little bit about maybe the advice or the post-traumatic growth that you saw that you can help people get to afterwards. Share with us a little bit about that, please.
I will never forget what I've been through, but I don't live there. I don't set up household there. I tell you that a million times. Because when the train stopped and we were bombed and we were wearing striped uniform, but it didn't matter, they were bombing anyway. So I ran into the forest and there was no Magda. So in the middle of the bombing, I ran back. And there she fell and didn't know whether she's able to get up or not. But there were some political prisoners, and they were eating. And unfortunately, I can tell you, I told her, it's too bad, because now you're too sick to ask for some food. It didn't occur to me that I am able to ask, but I was the ugly one and the smart one, but I didn't even know that I can go and say, my sister usually does this, but I don't know. It was very, very scary about being in a Holocaust museum for me, because I saw the 71st Infantry that liberated me, and there were some people who were still alive. So without that,
Edie,
it wasn't long until I was going to be the one to go to.
we were recently.
Sorry.
We recently went to the Marine base. Do you remember that? We went just down the hill here. We were in San Diego. We have a lot of military in San Diego, and we were invited to give a talk to the Marines about resiliency. And we had a couple hundred Marines there, both active duty and veterans, and support staff for helping the mental wellness for Marines, because it turns out that people who are soldiers who go into war zones can come out with a lot of trauma that works itself into all sorts of different places. And of course, Gali here is the first-hand witness of what can happen, as she lost her father. So we had a really wonderful conversation that day. And you told the soldiers, the Marines, about what it was to have resilience. Can you give us a little bit of what it is to be a resilient person?
To acknowledge that the only one you can change is you. If you try to change another person, you can go around this way, that way. If that person doesn't want to change, you're going to find out that you're powerless, and take what you get and see how you can be the best listener and teach it to others so they don't have to interrupt the person who will tell you how they feel and what's going on in their head and most of all in their heart.
And you know, Edith, listening to you, so you're talking about resiliency, but you're also talking about the ability to change, and the ability to change and to fit yourself to the changing environment is also the flexibility, the elasticity that we have in our mind, in our body as a dancers also, right? As a dancer, to be flexible. So it's really amazing to see how this metaphor goes around the things and how resilience and agility and flexibility in mind and in the body are really connected. That you started to write your book, if I'm not mistaken, on 2017, not so long ago, right? Or it was published on 2017. You were approximately 90 or almost 90. I'm amazed. One of the things I learned from you is that you are ageless. And what I mean by that is that you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. Time is not a restriction. You studied psychology on your 40s and you got your PhD on your 50s. Please correct me if I'm mistaken. And you wrote your book on almost in your 90s and all the others. Where did you get this strength from to do such an amazing, things, not in a typical time of life, to write a book?
There's so many things that comes to you, and I think it's worthy to tape it so you have it with you. Because when you say, oh, I remember this, yeah, I remember, but then you don't. So I think it's important to listen, and see if you can write it down and give it to someone who does that for a living. And, you have a team of people who will give you some way of doing what they do best. And so I just allowed that voice to come. And most of it comes when I got up in Auschwitz, and it was 4:00 in the morning. And then we went outside, and I told you that if you're not feeling well, you stay in the barracks. But then we never saw that person again. So we learned very quickly the rules in Auschwitz. You go outside and you be sure that you don't stay over because we may not see you again.
Edie, you talked about the team, finding a team that to help support you to tell your story, to create an impactful version of your story. And we had talked to a handful of people about writing a book with you, helping you to do it, and it never came together. And then finally, at 89 years old, we get connected through Philip Zimbardo to a really brilliant agent who is more than an agent. He's a producer named Doug Abrams. And Doug and Edie hit it off immediately. And he has a history of writing very, very powerful, impactful work. He's done books with a lot of luminaries, and his wheelhouse is helping people who have extraordinary lives tell their story. And so he and Edie connected, and it began the journey towards the choice. What is that? Why is that important? It's important because sometimes it's not you just deciding now is the time. It's deciding that I'm going to go find the people to help me get it done. And that was the thing that really stood out, Edie, was that your story had been refined, but it was finding the team to help you understand the best way to tell your story the most impactful way to tell your story, because there's a lot of Holocaust survivors that have really lovely memoirs that are not New York Times bestseller books. There's a lot. And they're all really touching stories, every one of them. But your story, Edie, did something really powerful.
I went back to school.
Well, your
I
story,
returned to school, and that made a big difference.
you went back to school and became a psychologist. So your story didn't just tell a story. You talked about the human condition.
That's
And that's what you and Viktor Frankl have in common. You both really talked about how Auschwitz revealed the human condition and what you learned about it that allows all of us who didn't go to Auschwitz to take a very important lesson from it. And that, I think, is the reason why we're here on this podcast today.
But I cannot make you want to do anything.
No.
So I have to be very skillful to see to it that you're willing. That's a very good English word.
Mm-hmm.
That you're willing to be willing. That is not easy with you.
You know, I'm listening to, first of all, to see you together is beautiful. And, you know, Jordan, to refer to what you said, so I work a lot with startup founders, and the most important thing in a startup, the most important thing in a startup is the team. And it's exactly what you said, because it's not just about you, it's to find the right people, your co-founders, to the mission in order to bring this vision into world, the creation. It can be a book, it can be a tech, it can be a product, to find the right people to go with you to bring this vision to life. And it's amazing the way you described it. And I like we call it product market fit or founder fit. You need to find a fit, because there's no right and wrong. There's those that you feel good with, that it lies in the right places. So it's really similar and strong. It's amazing, Edith, how you allowed other people to touch and to get and to search inside yourself and to help you convey the stories and the messages respectfully in a touching way that millions of people all around the world can be influenced by them. Jordan, I want to ask you something. We're in similar age. We both have grandmothers. I have 4. They are not alive, none of them any longer. But I had the opportunity and the joy to have grandparents for 30 and something years. They were all Holocaust survivors, the 4 of them. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you, who have the opportunity to be here with Edith and to support and to joyfully bring her wisdom to us. How does it feel to be the grandson, and you are one of a few of this amazing, wise, beautiful woman with a lot of pride, I guess. But I guess it also comes, with other things, because like everything in life, it's all a mix of things. It's all comprised of many, many elements. So maybe share with us a little bit your experience in this journey as a grandson, and as also someone who goes with Edith hand in her journey.
It is a unique experience, the one that I didn't at least knowingly choose. Hard to know what we do in our pre-birth experience.
Beautifully sad.
But I didn't know that this was going to be my journey, but it is the most inspiring journey I could have ever imagined. I really love Edie, and I see you. I see your genius, and I see your humanity, and it's
called a mensch.
He is a mensch, Edith.
He's a
You
mensch.
succeeded. He's a mensch.
He lives it. He does it.
Yeah.
He's not just talking. And he has beautiful boys, and the little boys talk to each other. And the language you don't know a thing about, but they do things, everything together, and they go swim together. And I think that these are my best time that I can be a mother, a grandmother, and
a great
great grandmother, because I have 7 great boys, great big boys.
Wow.
And maybe we'll send you a picture
I'll be
of
happy.
my 4th generation.
Wow.
That's a good revenge to Hitler.
But I'll say this. It is the most beautiful journey, and I would not change it. And I am profoundly grateful to do it. And now I didn't know that in my early 20s and 30s, I didn't know this is what I was going to do with my life. But now I look at it, and everything I was doing was preparing me for this. And we've started Edith Eger Foundation, and we're going to be really taking Edie's work and committing as much resources as we can to bring her wisdom and the wisdom of future Ediths, because there are people who have beautiful stories that deserve to be told in line with Edie's about taking trauma and turning it into a story of love and tolerance. So all of that is beautiful, and I wouldn't change it. And I am inspired and passionate about what this journey looks like. And there is I just want to speak to the people out there who maybe have a larger than life parent, very successful parent. There is a complication also that comes when you have somebody very successful and very, very famous or luminary or successful or whatever it is that you are below in your lineage, because there is a question that you will have, which is, am I worthy and am I capable? And it is impossible to have one without the other. And it's a part of your journey, it's part of my journey to face that question and become comfortable with my own limitations and my own abilities. And it has been a journey that I didn't seek, but one that seeked me. And I am constantly being confronted by this other side of it. And I think that mirror is a powerful reminder to be truthful to yourself, for me to be kind to myself, because just like everybody, there's moments where you think you're really doing a great job, and there's moments where you think, am I really doing everything I can? And I wouldn't change it, but it's not always just perfect, like the obvious answer is, oh, it's amazing, it's nonstop great, and it is amazing, and it's nothing could be more powerful for my soul and my purpose. And we have to negotiate with our own being that we didn't survive Auschwitz. I grew up here in a safe home, in a healthy environment in San Diego, and I can help tell your story and help you to become the most important version of yourself, which helps me to tell my story.
I like to give you a few P's. Perfectionism can lead to procrastination. I'll think about it tomorrow.
Which can lead
Paranoia, you think people are against you. And paralysis, that you just fall apart. Lots of P's that you may need to pee out. And you look at this as a new, beautiful person who is just being born, and that little child needs a good mommy, and you show up for that. I love this conversation, and I'm so happy that you choose to do what you're doing, because you're so good at it. You let people go wherever they want to go, and you can repeat every word beautifully.
Thank you for that. And before we'll also hit a pause, because I don't want it to be too much for you also. I just want to say the last few sentences that you said together, what Jordan shared about his journey and the complexity of things, because nothing is black or white. Everything is in the middle. Gray is a great color. It's just, so I like to call it the founder's mindset, because founders, people who build startups, ventures, etc., they need to have this mindset of a journey, of inner choice, of growth mindset, of searching inside themselves all the time to see how the dots are connected, how everything they do connects to their inner values, and much more, and to be flexible. And I believe that all the messages that you shared together, Edith and Jordan, and the smile and the love that is present between you, you are two amazing founders, of your life, first and foremost, and of Edith's story and the foundation, and of your entrepreneurship journey in helping building this amazing value to the world. So I really want to cherish it and to thank you, for taking this time. It was very meaningful to me. I felt like I'm talking with my grandmother in a way. So thank you for that. And maybe last question, what can I wish you to the coming years, to your birthday? What can I wish you?
So how many are your family still alive?
From the generation that was in the Holocaust, they are all dead by now. But they had good lives, and they built family, and they built houses, and they had careers, and they were all amazing grandparents, and I cherish them for that. And they are deeply rooted in my life and in what I do, and I pass it forward.
Thank you. So I'm looking forward to really reading your book, and we're going to be in there together. And thank you for choosing me.
Edith and Jordan, thank you so much. I want to wish you good health and smile, and to continue to bring value to this world. And thank you for this conversation. To our lovely listeners, we're going to hit pause until the next episode. That's also something I say to the founders in my clinic in between session. It's only pause, it's never a dot. If you enjoyed listening, I would really appreciate if you share the podcast with people who you think would derive value from it. Let's hit pause till next time. Edith and Jordan, thank you so much. I wish you Shana Tova, Leshana Tova Yoter.
Yeah, it's
Really
coming.
appreciate it.
The Human Founder Podcast by Gali Bloch-Liran.